Today we're exposing 12 Aussie honey products with serious authenticity red flags you need to know about before your next supermarket shop. We're talking about products that failed independent lab tests in late 2024, blends with up to 70% imported honey sold as Australian, and jars that keep sparking investigations year after year. These aren't obscure brands. These are products sitting on shelves at Coles, Woolworths, IGA, and Aldi right now. Stay until the end, because we'll reveal the Australian honeys that beekeepers and independent testers actually trust. For generations, Australians believed honey was the ultimate natural sweetener. Pure, golden, straight from Aussie bees. Something you could grab without reading the label twice, your nan's pantry staple. But in December 2024, less than a year ago, new independent testing on supermarket honey made headlines all over again. Imported honeys sold in Australian stores were analyzed in the lab, and some samples were found not to be all honey. The tests were funded by Australian beekeepers who've been sounding the alarm for years, and the results confirmed what they'd been warning about. Adulterated honey is still on our shelves. And this wasn't some one-off scare. Back in 2018, beekeeper-funded nuclear magnetic resonance testing on 28 supermarket honeys found that nearly half of them showed markers of possible adulteration. Products from Coles, Woolworths, IGA, and Aldi were flagged. Major brands like Capilano's budget line Allow performed badly in those tests. The ACCC opened an investigation but eventually closed it, saying the science wasn't settled enough to take enforcement action. No recalls, no fines, just a quiet reset. In 2024, researchers at the University of Melbourne were still writing about what they now call the Great Honey Wars in Australia, a long, messy fight over authenticity, lab methods, cheap imports, and consumer trust. Around the same time, media coverage about food fraud highlighted honey adulteration as one of the most persistent issues in our entire food system. So if you thought the fake honey story was old news from 2018, it isn't. It's an ongoing pattern that stretches from 2018 through 2024 and right into the products you can buy today in 2025. We're not here to accuse any brand of proven fraud. What we're doing is looking at the products that keep coming up in independent tests, media investigations, and beekeeper warnings. The ones with vague labels, heavy reliance on imported bulk honey, and taste profiles that many customers say just don't line up with real, local honey. If you've ever taken a spoonful and thought, "This doesn't taste like honey," there's a good chance something from this list has already been in your pantry. So let's start with the brand at the center of it all. Number 1. Capilano Allow Mixed Blossom Honey. This is the product that sat at the center of Australia's honey authenticity debate for years. Allow is Capilano's budget brand, sold through Woolworths, IGA, and independent supermarkets. The front label tells you it's 100% honey. The fine print on the back tells you the real story. It's made from a blend that can be up to 70% imported honey, and as little as 30% Australian. In the 2018 investigation, Allow had the worst results of any major brand tested. 6 out of 8 Allow samples showed markers consistent with adulteration in independent NMR testing. That's a 75% failure rate. The tests suggested potential contamination with added sugars like rice syrup or corn syrup. Kapilano fought back hard, strongly denying the results and questioning whether NMR testing was reliable. They pointed out that all their samples passed Australia's official C4 sugar test. But here's the problem experts keep raising. The C4 test only detects one specific type of adulteration. NMR testing can detect multiple types, including rice syrup, which has become the most sophisticated and common adulterant in global honey fraud. After the scandal broke, Aldi immediately pulled Allow from their shelves. Under mounting public pressure, Capilano eventually announced they'd help fund an Australian NMR testing facility, a dramatic reversal. But here's what matters now in 2025. Allow is still on shelves. Same blend. Same 70% imported content. Same vague origin labeling that tells you nothing about which countries that imported honey actually comes from. And with testing in late 2024 once again finding imported supermarket honey failing authenticity checks, the questions around products like Allow haven't been resolved. They've just been buried. Number 2. IGA Black and Gold Honey. The ultra-budget option that actually performed even worse than Allow in the 2018 tests. 4 out of 6 black and gold samples were flagged as adulterated. That's a 67% failure rate, the highest of any product tested. Like Allow, Black and Gold is a blend of Australian and imported honey. But the label gives you no percentages, no origin countries, just the words, blend of local and imported honey. Black and Gold is produced by Kapilano and distributed exclusively through IGA's Metcash network. So the same company behind Allow also makes this product, which had even worse test results. It's priced at rock-bottom levels, often under $5 per kilogram, which immediately raises questions about sourcing. Customer reviews consistently describe it as thin, bland, aggressively sweet, and lacking any floral character. Multiple people compare it to golden syrup or say it dissolves instantly in water like liquid sugar. 7 years after failing independent tests at the highest rate of any product, Black and Gold is still sold with no label changes, no origin transparency, and no public explanation of what quality controls exist beyond passing the basic C4 test that experts say is insufficient. Number 3. Aldi Bramwells Mixed Blossom Honey. Aldi's private label honey that also failed testing back in 2018. 2 out of 6 Bramwells samples flagged for adulteration markers. To Aldi's credit, they responded faster than other retailers. They immediately pulled affected batches and released statements about quality control. But like the others, Bramwells is a blend of Australian and imported honey with no specific origin disclosure. Shoppers describe Bramwells as bland, neutral, and unremarkable. The packaging uses rustic imagery and warm colors to suggest something traditional and natural, but the back label reveals it's another anonymous international blend. No countries named, no percentages disclosed. While Aldi acted more responsibly when issues emerged in 2018, the fundamental transparency problem remains unchanged here in 2025. Number 4. Woolworths Macro Organic Honey. This one surprises people because it's organic and sits in Woolworths' premium macro health range. Customers pay nearly double the price of budget honey, expecting something cleaner, purer, more trustworthy. But flip the jar, and the label reads, blend of Australian and imported organic honeys. Being organic doesn't mean it's local, doesn't mean it's single origin, doesn't mean it's authentically sourced from transparent supply chains. It just means the bees foraged from organic certified plants, which could be anywhere in the world. Customer reviews often express disappointment. People expecting rich Australian floral character describe macro-organic as mild, neutral, almost bland compared to 100% Australian single-origin honey. The premium price suggests premium sourcing, but the label reveals it's still an anonymous international blend, just with organic certification. You're paying extra for the organic label and Woolworths branding, not necessarily for genuine Australian provenance or superior flavor. Number 5. Coohl's Honey Collective Co-Pure Honey. The brand name sounds artisan, like a cooperative of small beekeepers working together. The label talks about honey skillfully blended from diverse regions for perfectly balanced taste. The branding is warm and rustic. Everything about it suggests local, thoughtful, small-batch production. But Honey Collective Co. isn't a collective of beekeepers. It's a Capilano-owned brand created specifically for Coohl's supermarkets. It's another blend of Australian and international honey, with no disclosed origin specifics. The premium-looking packaging and co-op branding are pure marketing, designed to make you feel like you're supporting local agriculture when you're likely buying mostly offshore product blended in industrial facilities. Customers report the same experience as other supermarket blends. Mild flavor, thin texture, generic sweetness. One reviewer said it tastes like every other supermarket honey, just in a prettier jar. When branding does all the work and the product inside is just another anonymous blend, you're paying for label design, not honey quality. Number 6. Woolworths Cloverdale Pure Honey. Another Capilano-owned brand sold exclusively in Woolworths. The label describes it as richly flavored honey sourced from select international markets before being expertly blended with pure Australian honey. That phrasing is doing heavy lifting. Select international markets reveals nothing about actual origins. The wording structure suggests imported honey is primary, and Australian honey is added later, likely in smaller proportions. Customers describe Cloverdale as unremarkable, sweet, but flat, lacking the bold eucalyptus or complex wildflower notes you'd expect from predominantly Australian honey. Cloverdale also offers an organic line that's sourced predominantly from the rainforests of South America. So the organic version is mostly South American with a small amount of Australian organic honey blended in. Nothing illegal, but the Australian-looking branding doesn't advertise the South American origin prominently. Number 7. Coohl's Clear Honey. The most basic, generic, cheapest honey Coohl's sells. Plain label, rock-bottom price. Origin listed as blend of Australian and imported honeys with zero specifics. This is the honey people buy for baking when they don't want to think about quality. But when you're consuming honey regularly in cooking, you're consuming significant amounts. Customer reviews are harsh. Tastes like sugar syrup. No honey flavor whatsoever. Weirdly thin and runny. One person reported trying to feed it to bees in their garden, and the bees refused it. One of the most damning observations possible. Multiple reviewers compare it to golden syrup or corn syrup, describing one-note sweetness with no floral aroma. While Coohl's Clear Honey wasn't specifically named in the 2018 tests, it fits every pattern beekeepers warn about. Extremely low price, vague international sourcing, and customer descriptions that sound nothing like real honey. Number 8. IGA Chandlers Pure Honey. Sold in IGA and independent supermarkets, Chandlers sounds like a heritage family brand. But it's another Capilano-owned label. Capilano produces or owns virtually every budget honey brand across Australian supermarkets. Allow, Black and Gold, Cloverdale, Honey Collective Co., and Chandlers. This creates an illusion of choice when shoppers compare honey across different stores. Chandler's label says pure honey, but reveals it's another Australian and imported blend with no breakdown. Customer reviews describe the same bland, neutral sweetness. One called it honey-flavored water. When one company controls this many budget brands sourced from overlapping international supply chains that have been repeatedly questioned in investigations, the systemic transparency problem becomes clear. Number 9. Kapilano Pure Honey Australian Blend. The flagship mainstream product with iconic branding, kangaroo imagery, and the Billy Can logo. It sits above Lowry in price and positioning, marketed as a premium, trusted choice. But flip the jar, and you find the same controversial disclosure. At least 10% Australian honey. Cease. That means up to 90% can be imported. Capilano defends this by saying all their honey passes Australian standards. But when a product trades so heavily on Australian heritage imagery and sells at premium prices, many shoppers feel the branding and reality don't match. One reviewer said, "I bought it thinking I was supporting Aussie beekeepers. Then I read the label and realized I was funding international importers." The taste is fine, smooth and sweet, but compared to 100% Australian single-origin honey, it's noticeably milder, exactly what you'd expect from a cost-optimized blend. Kapilano Australian blend is the most emblematic of how labeling creates impressions that don't match contents. Number 10. Discount Australian honey squeeze bottles from small retailers. These appear in petrol stations, corner shops, and discount stores. Bright plastic bottles shaped like bears, generic labeling, prices even lower than supermarkets. Labels claim 100% Australian honey, but there's often no company name, no address, no batch code. These products are impossible to verify. Some have been flagged by authorities for incorrect labeling. Shoppers report wildly inconsistent quality. One bottle tastes acceptable, the next has chemical aftertaste. Another crystallizes into a strange mass within days. With no quality control or brand accountability, these represent the absolute highest authenticity risk. Number 11. Manuka style or active honeys that avoid using the word Manuka. Found in health stores and wellness aisles, these jars are covered in numbers like Active 15+, with dark packaging mimicking genuine Manuka honey. Prices sit lower than real certified Manuka, but still feel premium. The red flag is they never actually say Manuka. They might say Australian active honey, without botanical certification or verified testing standards. Some are legitimate bioactive honeys from Australian jellybush. Others are generic blends with inflated numbers. Customers pay $50 expecting Manuka-grade medicinal properties and get unverified blends. When buying for health, authenticity matters. Number 12. Imported European honey sold at suspiciously low prices. These carry old-fashioned branding with names like Golden Fields, showing countryside scenes. Origin says blend of EU and non-EU honeys, code for "we won't tell you where this comes from." The price is often cheaper than Australian-packed blends, even after international shipping. Customer reviews mention chemical notes, burnt sugar flavors, waxy texture. Some never crystallize, unusual for real honey. These imported generics sit where traceability disappears entirely. That's where the highest global adulteration risk sits. Now, the honey worth buying. Beekeepers and testers recommend specific origin, transparent testing, 100% Australian content. Beechworth Honey is most recommended. Only Australian honey, known beekeepers, clear origin details, publicly backed NMR testing. Other trusted names: Tasmanian Leatherwood, Ben's Bees, Kangaroo Island, Farmers Market boutique brands. They cost more, but you're paying for traceable provenance. If buying from supermarkets, look for 100% Australian honey without blend disclaimers. Some Capilano single-origin products like Manuka or Ironbark are 100% Australian. Read back labels every time. Check for specific regions or floral sources. If it says blend of Australian and imported, you're gambling. If it says 100% Australian with named region, much safer. Best option: buy direct from beekeepers, farmers markets, roadside stalls, local apiaries. You can ask questions, taste before buying, see where it comes from. Real Australian eucalyptus honey has bold medicinal depth. Wildflower varies with seasons. Ironbark is dark and intense. These flavors don't exist in blended products because blending removes character for consistency. What can you do? First, stop assuming every jar labeled honey is the same. Second, flip every jar and read the origin statement. Ignore the front. If the back is vague, put it back. Third, choose 100% Australian from brands that name their source. Fourth, support local beekeepers. Every dollar is a vote against anonymous blends. Finally, trust your senses. Real honey has aroma, complexity, seasonal personality. If yours smells like nothing and tastes like sugar water, ask what you're really buying. If this video opened your eyes, hit like so more Australians find it. Subscribe for more investigations into everyday products hiding in plain sight on Aussie shelves. Drop a comment. Which product shocked you most? Have you bought these thinking they were something else? What Australian staple should we investigate next? Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay informed, and protect what's on your plate.